Money is often described as a tool, a resource, a number in a bank account. But in reality, money is something far more complex. Money is emotional. Money is psychological. Money is deeply connected to how we think, how we see the world, and how we see ourselves. Two people can earn the same amount of money and live completely different financial lives. One builds wealth, invests wisely, and gains financial freedom. The other constantly struggles, living paycheck to paycheck. The difference is rarely intelligence, it is rarely education, and it is rarely luck alone. More often than not, the difference is psychology. Understanding the psychology of making money is one of the most powerful skills you can develop, because money is not only about math, it is about behavior, and behavior comes from the mind. Money is more emotional than logical. Most people believe they make financial decisions logically, but behavioral economists have proven that this is rarely the case. We buy things because we feel something: excitement, fear, status, comfort, security. A person might buy an expensive car not because they need it, but because it makes them feel successful. Another person might avoid investing in the stock market not because it is risky, but because the fear of losing money feels unbearable. In many ways, money decisions resemble emotional reactions rather than rational calculations. The stock market is a perfect example. When markets rise, people feel confident. They invest more, often at the worst possible time. When markets fall, fear spreads quickly. People panic and sell, locking in losses. This cycle repeats again and again throughout history. The truth is simple. The greatest enemy of wealth is not lack of opportunity, it is emotional decision-making. Your money beliefs were formed early. Most people do not realize that their financial mindset was shaped during childhood, long before they earned their first paycheck. Think about the messages you heard growing up. Maybe you heard things like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," "Rich people are greedy," "We can't afford that," "Money is the root of all evil." These phrases may seem harmless, but repeated over time, they become beliefs, and beliefs shape behavior. If someone grows up believing that wealthy people are selfish, they may subconsciously avoid becoming wealthy themselves. If someone believes money is always scarce, they may constantly feel financial anxiety, even when they earn a good income. These invisible beliefs quietly guide financial decisions throughout life. Psychologists often call this a money script. A money script is the unconscious story you tell yourself about money. And unless you become aware of it, that story will control your financial future. The difference between income and wealth. Income is the money you earn. Wealth is the money you keep. Someone earning $50,000 a year who saves and invests consistently can become wealthy over time. Meanwhile, someone earning $500,000 a year who spends everything may remain financially fragile. Society often celebrates high earners, but true financial stability comes from accumulation, not appearance. Many people fall into what psychologists call the lifestyle inflation trap. As income rises, spending rises just as fast. A bigger apartment, a nicer car, more luxury items. Eventually, the person feels just as financially pressured as before, despite earning far more money. This is why some high-income professionals still feel financially stressed. Their income increased, but their psychology never changed. Delayed gratification, the hidden wealth skill. One of the most powerful psychological traits linked to financial success is delayed gratification, the ability to sacrifice a small pleasure today for a larger reward in the future. This concept became famous through the marshmallow experiment. In this study, children were given a simple choice.
They could eat one marshmallow immediately, or wait 15 minutes and receive 2 marshmallows instead. Researchers followed these children for decades, and surprisingly, the children who were able to wait tended to have better life outcomes, higher academic performance, better health, more financial stability. Why? Because delayed gratification is a skill that affects almost every financial decision. Saving money requires delayed gratification. Investing requires patience. Building wealth requires thinking long-term. Unfortunately, modern society constantly encourages the opposite: instant delivery, instant entertainment, instant gratification. Advertisements encourage us to buy now and worry later. Credit cards make spending painless, but wealth building operates on a completely different timeline. It rewards patience. The role of risk perception. Another psychological factor that affects financial success is how people perceive risk. Interestingly, humans are not very good at understanding risk objectively. We often fear the wrong things. Many people fear investing in stocks because they see market crashes on the news. But those same people feel comfortable keeping all their money in cash, slowly losing value to inflation. From a psychological perspective, this is called loss aversion. Loss aversion means that losing $100 feels far more painful than gaining $100 feels good. Because of this, people often avoid investments that could grow their wealth simply because the possibility of loss feels too uncomfortable. However, avoiding risk entirely can be a risk in itself. Over long periods of time, inflation quietly erodes the value of money. Money sitting idle slowly loses purchasing power. Understanding this psychological bias can help people make more balanced financial decisions. Identity and money. Money is also closely tied to identity. For many people, income becomes a symbol of self-worth. A promotion can feel like validation. A financial setback can feel like personal failure. But this emotional attachment can create unhealthy relationships with money. When identity becomes tied to financial success, people may take excessive risks to prove themselves. They may chase status symbols to impress others, or they may become overly stressed about financial fluctuations. Healthy financial psychology separates self-worth from net worth. Money is a tool, not a measure of personal value. People who understand this often make calmer, more rational financial decisions. The power of long-term thinking. Perhaps the most important psychological trait for building wealth is long-term thinking. Humans naturally focus on short-term rewards, but wealth accumulation often happens slowly and quietly over long periods of time. Consider compound interest. At first, progress seems small. An investment might grow a little each year, but over decades, growth accelerates dramatically. Small contributions can turn into large sums of money simply through time. This process is sometimes called the snowball effect. At first, the snowball rolls slowly, but as it grows larger, it gathers more snow and accelerates. Wealth works in a similar way. The earlier someone begins investing, the more powerful compounding becomes. But psychologically, this is difficult because the human brain struggles to appreciate rewards that are far in the future. We prefer rewards today, even if they are smaller. Social comparison and spending. Another powerful psychological force affecting money is social comparison. Humans constantly compare themselves to others, their neighbors, their coworkers, their friends. Social media has amplified this tendency dramatically. People are constantly exposed to images of luxury vacations, designer clothing, expensive cars, and glamorous lifestyles. But what we see online is rarely the full story. We see spending, but we do not see debt. We see highlights, but not financial stress. Unfortunately, constant comparison can lead people to overspend in order to maintain a certain image. This phenomenon is sometimes called keeping up with the Joneses. People spend money they do not have to impress people they do not know. And this cycle can quietly destroy long-term financial stability. The quiet power of consistency. One of the least exciting but most powerful psychological habits for building wealth is consistency. Not brilliance, not perfect timing, consistency. Saving a small amount every month, investing regularly, avoiding impulsive decisions. Over time, these simple behaviors compound. Many people wait for the perfect investment opportunity, but in reality, wealth is usually built through disciplined, repeated actions. Small habits repeated over decades create extraordinary results. The challenge is that consistency is boring. It lacks excitement. But psychologically, those who learn to embrace steady progress often achieve far greater financial success than those constantly chasing quick wins. Fear and opportunity. Fear is another major psychological barrier to making money. Starting a business involves uncertainty. Investing involves uncertainty. Changing careers involves uncertainty. Because humans naturally avoid uncertainty, many people stay in comfortable but limiting financial situations. They postpone opportunities, they delay investments, they avoid calculated risks. But many financial opportunities require stepping into uncertainty. This does not mean reckless decisions, it means thoughtful risk-taking. Every successful entrepreneur, investor, or innovator had to overcome psychological resistance to uncertainty. Fear is natural, but learning to manage fear is part of financial growth. Scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. One of the most powerful psychological factors that influences financial success is mindset. Specifically, the difference between a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset. A scarcity mindset is the belief that resources are limited. People with this mindset often think there isn't enough money, opportunities are rare, if someone else wins, I must lose. Because of this belief, they tend to make defensive financial decisions. They avoid investments, they hesitate to start businesses, they fear competition. Every financial choice feels like a risk that could lead to loss. On the other hand, an abundance mindset operates very differently. People with an abundance mindset believe opportunities can be created. They see money as something that flows through value creation. Instead of thinking, there is not enough money, they think, how can I create more value? This shift in thinking changes behavior dramatically. People with an abundance mindset are more likely to start businesses, learn new skills, invest in themselves, take calculated risks. They do not see money as a fixed pie, they see it as something that can grow. And, historically, most great fortunes were built by people who believed they could create new value, not just compete for existing resources. How habits shape financial destiny. Many people think wealth comes from big financial decisions, but in reality, wealth is usually the result of small daily habits. Habits determine behavior, and behavior determines financial outcomes. Consider two simple habits. One person saves 10% of their income every month. Another spends everything they earn. At first, the difference seems small, but over 10, 20, or 30 years, the outcomes become dramatically different. Habits work quietly. They operate in the background of life, but their long-term effects are powerful. Psychologists describe habits as automatic behaviors. Once a habit forms, it requires very little mental effort. That is why building positive financial habits is so important. Saving regularly becomes easier once it becomes routine. Investing becomes normal. Budgeting becomes natural. In contrast, people with poor financial habits often struggle even when their income increases, because behavior, not income, ultimately determines wealth. The illusion of fast money. Another psychological trap that affects many people is the illusion of fast money. Humans are naturally attracted to quick rewards, winning the lottery, getting rich through speculation, finding the next big thing. Stories of overnight success are extremely popular, but they are also extremely rare. For every viral story of someone becoming rich quickly, there are thousands of unseen failures. The truth is that sustainable wealth is usually slow. It grows through years of consistent effort. Successful businesses take time to build. Investments take time to compound. Skills take time to develop. But the human brain struggles with this reality. We prefer exciting stories. We prefer dramatic success. As a result, many people chase shortcuts. They jump from one opportunity to another. They speculate on risky investments. They abandon long-term plans in search of quick profits. Ironically, this behavior often delays wealth rather than accelerating it. The psychology of millionaires. When researchers study self-made millionaires, they often discover surprising patterns. Many millionaires live surprisingly ordinary lifestyles. They drive reliable cars instead of luxury vehicles. They live in comfortable but modest homes. They prioritize investing over spending. This may seem counterintuitive. After all, if someone has a lot of money, why not spend it? But psychologically, many wealthy individuals focus more on freedom than on status. To them, money represents options: the option to retire early, the option to start new ventures, the option to spend time with family, the option to walk away from stressful situations. Because they value freedom, they often resist lifestyle inflation. They understand that every unnecessary expense reduces future flexibility. In other words, they don't just earn money, they protect it. Decision fatigue and money. Another psychological factor that affects financial decisions is decision fatigue. Every day, people make hundreds of decisions: what to eat, what to wear, what to buy, how to spend time. Each decision consumes mental energy. By the end of the day, mental resources are depleted. When decision fatigue occurs, people tend to make poorer choices. They become more impulsive. They seek immediate gratification. This affects financial behavior. For example, someone who is mentally exhausted after work may be more likely to order expensive takeout instead of cooking, or they may make impulsive online purchases late at night. Many successful individuals reduce decision fatigue by simplifying their lives. They automate savings. They automate investments. They reduce unnecessary choices. By removing small financial decisions, they preserve mental energy for more important ones.
The fear of missing out. In the modern world, another psychological force strongly influences money decisions: the fear of missing out, often abbreviated as FOMO. When people hear about others making money through investments, businesses, or new trends, they may feel pressure to join quickly. This is particularly visible in financial bubbles. During speculative booms, people rush to invest because they see others becoming wealthy. They fear being left behind. But these emotional decisions often happen at the worst possible time. People buy when prices are already high, then panic and sell when markets fall. Historically, this cycle has repeated many times. Real estate bubbles, stock market bubbles, cryptocurrency booms. The pattern is always similar. Excitement attracts attention, attention attracts money. Eventually, reality catches up. Understanding this psychological pattern can help investors remain calm while others react emotionally. Why most people never become wealthy. There is a difficult truth about money that psychology helps explain. Most people never become wealthy.
not because wealth is impossible, but because the behaviors required to build wealth are often uncomfortable. Saving money requires discipline. Investing requires patience. Learning new skills requires effort. Taking risks requires courage. Meanwhile, the alternative behaviors are much easier. Spending feels good. Comfort feels safe. Short-term rewards feel satisfying. Because of this, many people choose immediate comfort over long-term growth. They do not make this decision consciously. It simply happens through everyday habits. Years pass, opportunities are missed, and financial progress remains slow. The psychology of wealth often requires going against these natural tendencies. Building a healthier relationship with money. Despite the psychological challenges surrounding money, it is possible to develop a healthier financial mindset. The first step is awareness, recognizing your own financial beliefs. Where did your money habits come from? What emotions influence your spending? Do you associate money with stress, with freedom, with status? Understanding these patterns allows you to change them. The second step is clarity. Define what money actually means to you. For some people, money represents security. For others, it represents independence. For others, it represents the ability to help family or pursue passions. When money goals are connected to meaningful values, financial discipline becomes easier, because the goal is not just accumulating numbers, it is building a life aligned with your priorities. The role of patience. Patience is one of the most underrated financial skills. Modern culture celebrates speed, fast success, fast growth, fast results. But financial reality often operates on a slower timeline. Investments grow gradually. Businesses take years to mature. Careers develop through experience. Those who expect instant results often become discouraged too early. They abandon plans that might have succeeded if given enough time. But those who understand the power of patience stay consistent. They continue learning, they continue investing, they continue improving. Over time, small advantages compound into larger ones. The quiet compounding of self-improvement. Money is not created in isolation. It is often the byproduct of skills, knowledge, and relationships. People who continually improve themselves tend to create more opportunities. They learn new technologies, they develop communication skills, they expand their networks. Each improvement may seem small, but over time, these improvements compound. A better skill leads to a better job leads to higher income leads to more investment opportunities. In this way, personal growth becomes financial growth. The psychology of making money is therefore deeply connected to the psychology of learning. Curiosity, discipline, and resilience often produce financial rewards indirectly. The ultimate freedom money can provide. At its best, money is not about luxury, it is about freedom. Freedom to choose how you spend your time, freedom to pursue meaningful work, freedom to care for loved ones, freedom to walk away from unhealthy environments. This perspective changes how people think about money. Instead of chasing wealth purely for status, they focus on financial independence. They design their financial lives around flexibility and autonomy. Ironically, those who focus on freedom rather than appearance often make better financial decisions. They spend less on status. They invest more in the future. They think long-term. Final thoughts. The psychology of making money is not about tricks or secret formulas. It is about understanding human behavior, our fears, our habits, our beliefs, our emotions. Money flows through these psychological patterns. People who master the mental side of money often find that the financial side becomes easier, because once behavior changes, results eventually follow. Wealth is rarely built overnight, but it is often built quietly, through patience, through discipline, through awareness, and through thousands of small decisions made over time. In the end, money is not just a financial topic. It is a reflection of how we think about the future, how we handle uncertainty, and how we choose to live our lives. Those who understand this truth gain more than wealth. They gain control over their financial destiny.